Okay, so let me start sharing the screen again real quick. Share the screen. And so really more of like a checklist type of idea here. So there's three groups of distributors. Again, jot down which distributor you currently fall under, which category you would identify with, and then inside of that category, what are the skills that you still feel like maybe you are not efficient at and would like some help in. And then that's going to be your homework that you're going to get with your coach tomorrow on. And again, I'm not going to train on what each one of these are. I really want you to use this as a checklist. So let's just talk about the three categories, the three groups of distributors that you'll end up having, developing inside of your organization is going to be number one, consumers. And quite honestly, this is where everyone starts, right? Everyone starts as a consumer, and then volume producers and business builders. So these will be the three different types of distributors that you have. Yes, I know we have preferred members in our organization, but the reality is you're going to have distributors that go into that distributor bucket and say they're a distributor who are right now just realistically a consumer, okay? So what is the goal? So for each category, we're going to have a goal. So let's go into the consumer group goal. What is the goal for a consumer group? So the goal for this consumer group is that they fall in love with the products. Let's be honest. Nobody saw Herbalife and fell in love with Herbalife without even tasting the shake, right? So their goal is to fall in love with the products. And then what do you talk to your consumer group distributors about? So this would be a list of what you'd want to talk to your consumer group distributors about. So get them comfortable talking about the products. So let's just pause. Are you a brand new distributor, and would you identify in this consumer group yourself? And are you comfortable talking about the products? If not, make the note. This is an interactive call. We're going to break out. We're going to see where we sit for like the future and the conversations that we can really work together on. We want to teach them how to retail products. Do you know how to retail products? We want to teach them how to stay connected to the group. I know you guys do a phenomenal job staying connected to this group, right? Record-breaking number tonight. But I'm sure outside of this group with your mentor, you also have a group. Are you connected? Do you know how to be connected? Importance of community. You want to teach your consumer group the importance of being connected to the community. And here's the reality. You cannot drag people up the marketing plan. I know we wish we could, right? But they are what they've chosen to be, and you're going to identify your distributors based on their actions, not by what they say, okay? So that's the first group. The second group is volume producers, okay? So the goal of a volume producer, if you would say, I'm a volume producer, then your goal would be to have 2,500 documented volume every single month. So what we're shooting for inside of our organization is 1,500 by the 15th. It's just a standard. Like 1,500 by the 15th is so doable. Today's February 6th, and I'm at 1,600 documented. And it takes a while to build your client base, right? It may be a couple months to get your client base. So I guess I share because 1,500 by the 15th is really not that difficult. So teach your volume producers, right, to achieve 2,500 documented volume, okay? And then what do I teach them? That's the goal. So then what do I teach them in order to get that? So you would teach them all areas of the consumer group, everything we just talked about, okay? So everything that we just talked about in terms of, can you retail products? Are you comfortable talking about the products? All of those, and then teach your volume producers to master retail. And by master retail, I mean, can you get in a conversation, explain the 3-day trial or a quick start program or the lean and fit, just like if I woke you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and get somebody started on the products, right? Are you that comfortable that you would say I could, I'm pretty much a master at retail, okay? And then you would want to teach your volume producers basic biz work training so that they could identify their up and coming, okay, they're brand new distributors. They could see how they order, who the orders are, who their PMs are, basic BizWorks training, and then basic gauges. Okay, so ask yourself this. So do I consider myself a volume producer right now? Do I keep gauges, right? If we were to pause this call, stop it and say, okay, and just called you out and said, tell me your gauges for the day. Have you filled out your house? Have you filled out how many how many people you've talked to, how many presentations you did? So if not, make the note. This is where I really want to sharpen my skills so I can become a great volume producer. Okay. How do I know who the volume producers are? Okay. Volume producers most likely don't attend all the trainings. Okay. They don't attend all the trainings. They may not get on all the calls. Okay. They may not, they don't get on the call. Sorry, I was checking the chat there. And then they are very happy servicing a client base. So, and there's nothing wrong with this, guys. This is awesome because look, they want to be a volume producer. They want to handle a little group of people. They want to be a coach of a client base. And it may take that action to develop another level of confidence to where they'll go into the building mode. Okay, so we don't ever want to beat anybody up or certainly make them feel bad about being a volume producer. I want the majority of my people being volume producers. They are the core and the foundation of the company. So they're happy servicing a client base. That's the key. So what do I teach the volume producers? Okay, so your volume producers, you would teach them how to get to active world team. Show them how to develop 1 or 2 coaches, okay, because the reality is if they've got 20 clients, then inside of that client base, they've got 1 or 2 coaches. All they need to know is that there's an opportunity. They need to hear stories like Tristan, right? I mean, $428 last month. This thing, it was my first month. And I love what I'm doing. I've dropped 2 pounds of fat. I have more energy. My girlfriend's getting hot, gone from a size 6 to a size 3. You've got a handful of clients, all your clients need to know is there's an opportunity inside of this to help a few people. That's how you develop a client to be a coach, and then they will go from volume producer, which is usually a supervisor or a world team position, to developing into an active world team position. Okay, an active world team is where they have $10,000 in business in their organization. It's a powerful realization that you can be a leader. When people hit active world team, look, if people hit active world team, they can hit president's team because they already know how to develop and work with the customer and then get them to a coach and then take that coach and then help them develop a customer base. Okay. Volume producers typically get stuck at world team. Okay. They're not builders by choice, but by their actions. So if we say, okay, and they say, oh, I want to be a builder. I'm going to be a builder. You're like, okay, awesome. You know, we have this unbelievable training in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're going to learn everything about it. Here's where you get your ticket. Here's what you got. And then they don't go to the training. The reality is they're a volume producer. Okay. So make the note. So hopefully you've got a few things identified maybe for you, and maybe it's already clarified a few things for maybe where you're feeling with a couple of your distributors, right? So the last one is our builders, okay? So the builder's goal, of course, is to build an organization that creates a career level of income. And what's interesting is people get so inspired in their very first STS or their very first nutrition club training, or even coming off a call like this. They're like, I'm going to be a builder. I'm going to build an organization. And then they don't take the steps for one reason or another. So we just continuously lay it out and let them choose. Lay it out, inspire, let them choose. Okay. So what do we teach our builders? We want to teach them, obviously, right, to master retail so they can be, number one, a high retail volume producer. But in the sense that the reason after almost 20 years, am going to get 5 to 7 brand new clients every single month is I want to find a Tristan, right? Like I want a Tristan. I want to see, and I know if I get 10 to 15, 20 clients, there's one sitting in there. So I retail to get clients so I can find the distributors out of there. Because here's the question. If I could show you a way to earn an extra $500 right around what you're doing, helping a few people get the results you got, would you want to take a look at how that might work for you? Who's going to say no? I didn't ask them to join. I just said, well, you want to take a look, right? So the other thing we teach them how to get that person registered and sponsored inside the company. How do we get you registered and get going? How do we help you get your website set up, right? How do we put you into the system? How do you get on the Tuesday call, etc.? And then we teach them how to teach those 3 categories. It's really a pretty basic plan, but having them learn each of the skill sets is what's key, okay? So here's the key. Don't fool yourself and saying, I'm a builder, if you don't have these things going on. Number 1, you got to have recruiting going on. So make a number on the paper. Write this number down. How many people did I have on tonight's HOM? Write the number down. Okay, if the number was 0, I'm going to question, is your action aligning with your goal in terms of builders, right? So the other thing you want to master are going to be the 4 R's. Now, we always hear the 3 R's, right? Retail, recruiting, and retention. Retail, we know we want to get people on the product so we can find our coaches, so we can sponsor them, recruiting, and of course, retention, getting them into the system at the trainings, etc. But recognition, guys, recognition is so powerful. It is the 4th R in the things that we definitely want to master, okay? So that is what a builder would what we really want to work with them. So how do we do that? What do we focus on? Obviously, personal development. And it's interesting, I can see the builders are the ones coming on at 15 till and dipping into the personal development. Now, next week, y'all coming on 15 till, we're going to be mid-HOM, right? But the builders are usually the first ones on the call because they know we have personal development going on before the call, right? We'll start it at 7:30 for you guys, so don't worry. And I know you'll be there. So a leader will also show themselves because they're at the monthly meetings. They're on the calls. They're stepping up, leading the calls. And guys, like the leaders will arise. They will say, yes, I'll tell my story. I'll get out of my comfort zone because these are the steps to the path of freedom, right? They're focused on their accomplishments of the prior month, okay? And they have goals for this month. So just make the notes. These are really what we focus on with them. Awesome job last month. Here's our goals for this month. Let's make it happen, right? They see obstacles as challenges and opportunities, not that they're going to whine about it. And that's exactly what Brad was talking about on the personal development section prior, right? He's talking about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. They have a forecast for their organization, whether they have 2 people or 200 people. Like, do you have the ability to see where you're headed in the future? They do have a personal development plan. Like, what book are you reading? What are you listening to today? What was your personal development today, right? Jot it down. Do you have a plan? Are you engaged in this level of activity? Do I call myself a builder, and are these the steps I'm taking? If not, no problem. Maybe you haven't had a list like this before, but now we're getting a little more clear, right? And here's the biggest key. They mentally step into the shoes of the next level pin. And I guess I would say I was very fortunate early on. I was taught, do more than you get paid for, and eventually you get paid for more than you do. And that philosophy was not taught to me first inside of Herbalife. That was taught to me inside of another company. And that core value was instilled inside of me and in the culture that I worked in. And so I was always trained that if you will do more than you get paid for, eventually you'll get paid for more than you do. So inside of our local trainings in STS, I'll never forget, I didn't know how to run the AV system. And I was the only one training where nobody knew how to run it because the guy that knew how to run it didn't show up. So I made a promise to myself I would never be in that position again. Never would I be the one to say, I don't know how. So that's what it means when you step into the shoes of the next pin. Do you want to be that leader? Figure it out, right? That's like the mentality, the mojo that you want to take on. And then they observe people who are current and irrelevant, right? Like follow the people you want to have what they have and be what they are, right? So the goal, be the distributor you want to have. And then I always hear that. I'm like, people complain about their distributors, right? Or they complain about their upline or sideline, downline, what have you. But they're not focused on being the distributor that they want to have. You literally will attract who you are. So I always say, you know, if you're unhappy with the circle around you, look in the center of the circle, because they're all coming to you. You're attracting it based on who and what you are. So the key to developing a builder is recognizing they're a builder, but then teach them to find Herbalife for themselves. So, and how they like to do Herbalife. And I'll use this is just my most recent frontline, which is he's a golfer, Jeff. Okay, Jeff comes into the club. He gets on the products, loves the products, great results. What do you love to do, Jeff? He loves golf. So he has literally wrapped his Herbalife plan around his golf plan. He works out of a club. He's not behind a bar. He uses the club as an office in the center, right? Works his business around the club. Just got started in the fourth quarter. Hit supervisor in December. Qualified VIP level 1, tier 1 for the event in Tulsa. 8,000 volume last month, because he's wrapping it around what he loves to do. So when you do that, you never feel like you're working. It's just like part of your game and part of who you are. That's the key. That's how you help people become, successful in the company, is how they like to do Herbalife. And ultimately, they end up having fun. That's the key. Okay. So we just went through 3 categories. I'm going to stop sharing.